So I figured I'd make a quick little video of what I'm working on recently. If you haven't seen my other videos, I made a couple reproductions for a couple different systems already. I made Star Fox 2, what else did I make? I made Star Fox 2, I made Mega Man Wily Wars, and I think that's it so far, or previously, and I've been looking into, you know, different sort of things, especially more on I made Pulseman too. Just been working on trying to get on different cartridges, you know, getting some games made up for the Nintendo and stuff too. So instead of babbling, I'll show you what I've been making. Yeah, went ahead and I made Adventure Island 4 for the Nintendo, as you can see here. If you didn't know, Adventure Island 4 never got a release in the States, but it did get a release in Japan. And the game's a lot different than the first, second, and third one that did have a US release. And someone went ahead and made a ROM hack for this and translated all the text and whatnot. And I figured, hey, might as well try that. You know, I love the Adventure Island series, and I'm sure it's a game that a lot of other people would definitely like to play. But yeah, I mean, you can play it on the Famicom. I got a Famicom and junk. It's just I'm not too great at reading Japanese, so I figured translate this one over to English. And I think I did a pretty good job making the cartridge look pretty authentic. Stays to the classic green look of it, and yeah, I mean, I found a nice Adventure Island 4 too, so that came out pretty good. And another one, got Earthbound Zero for the NES. Made this up. Looks like a couple of the other reproductions. I did base this off of an image. I think there was one on DeviantArt. It was this background right here is like the image of Earthbound, the Famicom release. It was like an image from a magazine, a Japanese magazine. And that's Ness and the other characters. I don't know their names right now, sorry. But, yeah, that's basically, someone on DeviantArt made a label for this. I just didn't like how he did it. I think he made it like really goldish, like almost exactly the way the Famicom looked. So I figured I'd give a shot at it. I did my own little, you know, spin at it. It's really close to his, but I included more of the picture and junk, and, you know, changed the lettering around, changed the earth. I made it instead of gold to white, and put the little zero there because, not to be mistaken, because this is the original Earthbound, and then there's Earthbound for the Super Nintendo, which got a release in the States. And they just went ahead and called that Earthbound, even though technically it was Earthbound 2. So, gives it a little, you know, difference. And the zero is, I think it's literally, this version is the Japanese. It includes all the there was censorship in the US. There was a prototype cartridge of the American made one, but it had a bunch of censorship, I believe, and ROM hacker went around and added everything back in. So that's this, and I guess also there's they put coding into it so that when you do put it on a cartridge, like it freezes up, or it knows it's not authentic, something like that. So, but that's all taken out of this version and junk. So I went ahead and made that. I think it turned out actually pretty well. You know, I like being able to see the entire picture. On the other one, you can only barely see him. This one, I made sure that you could almost literally see the entire picture in the background. So that one turned out pretty good, and it works great. You know, saves great. There's the end label if the camera will adjust to it. There it goes. So yeah, there's Earthbound Zero for that, and I thought that turned out pretty well. Another one I'm pretty proud of, actually, is I made Snow Bros on the Genesis through a whole Tengen cartridge. I saw another person who he made a label for him. I got into making a lot of these games by looking at this guy's labels, but I can't remember his name, but Yeah, a lot of these inspiration of these cartridges come off of it. I just throw my own spin at them, so no way I'm saying these are, you know, my original thing. I just throw them together. But yeah, he had a Snow Bros up, and a lot of his cartridges are just the way he keeps doing them. I don't know if he does it the way just to make sure that people know that they're reproductions or what, but yeah, I just tried to make this look as authentic as I could to a Tengen cartridge. His look, you know, much like, here, I'll grab this game. They look a lot like, you know, just regular Genesis games, you know, with the whole red around it, but as you know, Tengen, if I'll grab Miss Pac-Man real quick. Pac-Man, oh, I think it's on a shelf over here. Pac-Man. Here's Pac-Man here, and this is what Tengen cartridges look like, so a lot more different than, you know, the regular Genesis, because they were manufactured by Sega, but they were Tengen games, or I don't know the complete thing, sorry, but they were manufactured, something like that, I don't know. Either way, they look different, and I was looking at his, and I noticed that he stuck to his original design, I don't know, by just efficiency or whatever, but that's what he did, so anyways, yeah, I just made mine more or less look more like a Tengen cartridge than anything, so, and camera's all blurry. Anywho, but yeah, that's what I did, and I think it turned out really well, actually. I actually had to make pretty much the whole thing besides, obviously, the Snow Bros logo, and made it just look as much US as possible. I mean, it didn't take, this one probably took longer than usual, but I mean, I think it was worth it. There was no U.S. Language. It's pretty much all in, you know, it's the Japanese ROM, so it's really not the U.S. version or any ROM hacking. It's literally just a burn of the Japanese ROM onto an English cartridge, so, and it works just fine. And I don't even think there's any Japanese text in this game. I haven't played through it long enough to know, but the beginning screen and all that is, you know, it's what it is. So, and then another one that I thought was pretty awesome is a person came out with, if nobody knows about Legend of Zelda Parallel Worlds, it's like, it's got to be one of the best hacks you can get out there as a whole. It's Link to the Past except remodeled, and there's new music, there's new enemies, it's just awesome. But the thing about it is that it's incredibly hard. The original, the Euclid, I think his name is, EUCLID, I think, Euclid and Seth made a hack for this back in 2007, I believe, and they released it, and it was just, people just astonished by the hack. I mean, they put so much effort into it. It was just amazing what they did with it, and it's pretty much a completely different game. I mean, yes, I mean, you're saving Zelda and whatnot, and it's pretty much, you know, same basis as the other ones, but either way, yeah, besides the hack, I mean, you can look into that more. You probably look more into it than I can tell you, but someone also came along, since the difficulty was so hard. I mean, people didn't like playing this on cartridge. You know, people like using save states on the PC because that's how actually hard it is. You know, I've never played the original. I've only played this one, and this one is actually a hack of that hack. Someone came along and tried to make it a little easier, and I wouldn't exactly say the game's, you know, piece of cake, but it's definitely easier. I haven't played the original one to really compare it, but as far as I can tell, me playing through Link to the Past only 1.5 million times, it's almost on par, I guess, to the first one. It's still quite difficult at parts, but, you know, it's something that, you know, die-hard Zelda fans, you shouldn't have a problem getting through it. I'm not that great at Zelda. I'm alright. I'm not that great, but yeah. But what sucks is when I went to burn this, you had to like erase the header or whatever on the file. And a bunch of people had it out there, and I just figured, you know, maybe I'll just try this new one and might not have the same thing. And you go to pop it in, and I'll show you exactly what I ignored to do. So let's So it loads up fine, and you think everything's going to be I guess that pops up because the game's too large or something to do with the header. I'm not a programmer, so I can't really tell you. I just do what I do. Yeah, and that's what happened. So that was a bummer, but I mean, it's not like the game's ruined. The game plays just fine as usual, so I went ahead and I just made a new cartridge. I got two exact ones right here, and as you can see, all it is a little patch, and I believe all it does is remove the header, or someone made a patch for it. And this is the patch actually for the original hard version, but it's all the same. So, there you go, and it works just fine. And it's still the easy version. I mean, I tried it out, it works just fine. So, anywho, yeah, I mean, and then I just went ahead and I saw a bunch of people who had a bunch of labels for these. There's a bunch of people who have made these into cartridges and sold them, and they're asking for like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, come on, dude, it's not even your game, you know? I mean, I'm actually selling one of these on eBay right now, and I just set it up there for $5. I don't even care if I get 20 or so out of it. It was the mess up. It's as simple as that. So, but yeah, I went ahead and I made a label for this, and I think it turned out great, honestly. I mean, it really, you know, if you look at all the other cartridges like Link to the Past, they're not too flashy. A lot of people make these games more flashy than they appear, and, you know, it's their taste, and I just try to make it as original as possible, you know. So, and I mean, this isn't some, like, realistic background. It's an actual drawn, you know, whatever, digitally drawn background, and, you know, I think it fits well. So, I was pretty happy how this one popped out, but so far, that's pretty much an update for me and all the reproduction I've been working on, you know, Venture Island, Earthbound, and Snow Bros. I'm really hoping to get into some other stuff, maybe some Master System, maybe some Atari, you know, basically whatever is a cartridge and whatever I can burn, you know, make some cool stuff. I'm not looking into, you know, making Earthbound cartridges, you know, Super Nintendo ones and selling them on eBay. Hell no, you know, I'm just trying to make some cool games on some systems that weren't playable, or some prototypes that were finished. So we'll see where I go with it. And yeah, because that's probably what I'm going to be doing this winter, is making them and selling them. So if anybody's interested, go ahead and give me a PM. I'll give you prices and whatnot, or you can just get them through my eBay, or I'll figure out what I'll do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm just planning on making a couple more. I'm actually in the process of almost making a Mr. Gimmick reproduction, but that's a whole new story. I mean, there's a whole bunch of junk behind that. I got in contact with a guy who actually made, what's special about Mr. Gimmick is it needs a soundboard to it. Like, there's an actual, like, separate soundboard in the cartridge, and it's a whole mess of stuff, and I'm not that tech savvy with this. So I got in contact with a guy, and he actually freely gave me the schematics over. So I don't know if I'm going to sell that one or not. I'll have to work out a deal with him. But if you guys don't know what Mr. Gimmick is, go look it up. It is a badass game. I've only played it through ROMs. I can't say too much about it, but the music, the graphics, it's just awesome. And it's one of the rarest games, I believe, one of the rarest European games, because it's like only released in some I don't know, I'm not going to say it, I'm going to look like an idiot. Some country in Europe, and there's only a PAL version, and there's a Japanese version, but they're both equally as expensive. So, yeah, I'm going to try and make one of those. Try is the key word, so. But yeah, that's enough for me right now. So, yeah, thanks for watching.